All right, hey, welcome back to the 8th episode of Dynasty Sports. Switching it up today. Going to head in a soccer direction. A lot of people are going to say, Sean, what do you know about soccer? And I'm going to tell them not much, but enough to be dangerous. I don't think I'm worthy of sitting here next to the gentleman that I'm going to introduce. But back in 2008-9, I learned through my oldest daughter, we were in a rec situation where you go to practice and for 45 minutes, you line up in front of a goal and they kick probably 18-yard shots. And at the end of it, probably get a lollipop or something, and then they would go home. Well, somebody introduced me to something else in that summer, 2008-9, and I went over to Alsuma and got to watch this guy do his magic. And I was like, yeah. Being a wrestling coach, I knew that what we were doing in that rec wasn't correct. You weren't going to get any better doing that, but when I went to Alsuma and I met our next guest, that just blew my mind because his sessions were masterfully planned. He was passionate, and I've seen him create better athletes, better soccer players. Two of my daughters, I've had the privilege of him training them, and so I got to watch those sessions. And I tell you, I can't. When we started this, one of the first people I thought of interviewing was our first guest, and let's welcome John Michael Waite. Now, John, you got it. You hear the crowd. You got it. Now, when we do it, it's kind of I always get embarrassed. They go crazy when I introduce people like you.
Okay.
And Anthony, I had something.
There you go. There you go.
But how's it going?
Going great. Yeah, going great, man.
Excited about this because, man, of course, I'm a wrestling guy that had never been exposed to soccer. I don't know how a wrestling guy has 3 daughters. But that 99 World Cup, I watched the USA win that and did not have any kids at that point and thought, I loved the fact that soccer was physical. It just had all the intangibles besides throwing somebody down a mat and pinning them, as wrestling did. You have to be tough. You have to be, and so that's kind of the direction we headed. And I was fortunate enough to see where we needed to get by meeting you. Where did your soccer? When did you start playing soccer?
Well, back up before that.
Okay.
Before soccer,
Okay.
my first sport was wrestling,
You've been
and
great
I
wrestler.
actually was with your daddy
Really?
over at Blue Tea at Webster, and he was the first exposure that I
Did not
had.
know that.
He was the first exposure I had to a top coach with any sport.
Right.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, huge fan of your daddy.
And you were Blue Tea.
Blue Tea. Yeah, we were serious wrestlers.
Were you a West Sider? Was you guys living on the
We're
West
not.
Side?
We went out there for him. And so we got introduced to the side of wrestling that I think has lasted me a long time, which is standing on your own too.
That's right.
Being willing to take a licking and not point fingers. And then of course, the expertise that your dad had and the guys that he was bringing in, Kenny Monday, John Smith.
So you did some summer stuff. You did some,
all of those clinics.
Oh my gosh.
We were in those rooms hours and hours running up walls and
That's right, man.
flipping over things and running around and crying and spitting and all those things. And so we loved it. That was my first sport, and all our brothers did that.
It's a good start.
Great start.
Good start.
Great start to a sports foundation. Now around early.
You said you had brothers. You got how many brothers?
I have 2 brothers. I have an older brother and a younger brother. Who We're both one of my brothers was, everybody won a couple of state championships, at the youth level, and then my older brother went to Trinity in Dallas and wrestled there and had a really good high school career and ended up not going on to wrestling school, but could have for sure. Very, very talented wrestler. Just got himself distracted. You know how we do sometimes.
Yes, sir.
So, but talent was there, and I think
About the same size as you?
About the same size. Yeah, all of us are about the same size. I'm probably probably the shortest, but all similar, all decent athletes. But wrestling was definitely our first thing. We were wrestling in Pryor and Salina, and my grandparents lived in Salina, so we were out there rolling around with those kids, and just learned a lot. Learned a lot about life through that sport, and then around first grade, saw a kid at school wearing a soccer uniform. I had never seen anything like what
Where's
is
Tulsa Public Schools?
Tulsa Public Schools over at Burroughs in North Tulsa.
Burroughs. Wow.
So we grew up out north, and so that was a unique experience for a kid, and so we were acclimating and surviving and.
Putting that wrestling stuff to work.
Putting that wrestling stuff to work a lot. Yeah, a lot of wrestling put to work out in the neighborhood and in the streets and at school and surviving. But learning to adapt and learning to thrive and really grateful for my teachers and my coaches. I got introduced into soccer by a guy, you might know him, Coach Price. And
Roy Price.
He was
Roy Price.
Roy Price.
Really?
I'm pretty sure pretty sure his first name was Roy Price.
Kind of a little short African American guy.
Yes, sir.
Has gold in his
Yes, sir. Gold teeth.
You're kidding me.
Jerry curl.
You're kidding me.
He was the one that got me into everything, soccer included. And he said, he said you might be good at something, at one of these things. Why don't you try something? And I said, well, try what? What do you want? Well, I'll try. So he gave me a flyer, and I took it home. And my dad was living in Dallas at the time, so I was, begging my mom. Well, she's working, she's working jobs. I can't get anywhere, and so I had my first experience with a coach coming to pick me up and taking me somewhere, and all those things gradually impacted me a lot, and then I fell in love with soccer. It was nobody around me was really playing soccer. I never really understood the rules or what's going on, but I fell in love with the ball.
You was in a different cultural neighborhood.
Different.
Those guys played football,
basketball.
Yeah.
Some wrestling, some boxing.
Sure.
But yeah, it was much more about basketball, much more about football. So when soccer came along, it was not supposed to be something anybody liked. My dad didn't know. Dad's a baseball guy. My grandpa's a farmer, and
Sure.
But when my dad did come back and kind of get involved with what I was doing with my sports, he just did what he could, and he would go to the library and he would rent videos, like World Cup videos, and he would get out his camcorder and he would bootleg them. He would show
That's what the camcorders were back then.
Brother, that's why I went just like this. Yeah, that's why I went just like this. He might have had it just like this, like a bazooka, but he would record the TV with the camcorder, right? Put it up on a tripod, and I would let all those tapes run. When we had to take the videos back to the library, I had all the bootleg versions, and I will watch those. When I say thousands of hours, I mean all day. Anytime I could pop it in, and I was immediately watching what they were doing.
What age are we talking about?
8, 9, 10.
Wow.
Because listen, we were isolated a lot, right? So our neighborhood wasn't necessarily the best neighborhood, so we couldn't go many places.
Right.
So it wasn't like we're riding our bike in the neighborhood. Right. Our parents were like, you can go to this distance, and that's it. So if our ball rolled into the street, we're taking a chance if we're going to go get it. We're either going to watch that ball disappear,
wow,
or we're going to keep that ball out of the street. And we did that for years.
Brothers included?
Brothers included. Mostly my little brother in terms of playing, because my older brother was off wrestling.
Right.
And I have a sister as well. Don't want to forget her.
Okay.
She's a nurse. Amazing.
Younger?
Older sister, yes.
Older. Okay.
Yes, Mirio. And she Yeah, a beautiful person, and you know, she's a nurse right now at St. Francis.
Oh, she is.
Yes, sir. So yeah, so that's how it started, was just videos of watching and trying to figure out what these guys are doing. But my first exposure to like live games was watching Domingo Deportivo on the Spanish the Mexican channel at the time. You know, that's the only channel only access we had to the game. So I watched, you know, I was watching Club America and Pumas and Cruz Azul, these Latin America, these teams. So I never really got exposure to what was happening in Europe for a long time. And so, and then in the U.S., you know, it just hadn't really taken off yet. So
Compared to today,
Yes.
and of course we are probably behind Europe, of course, but it's come a long way, huh?
oh, we're catching up. No, we're catching up,
Okay.
for sure. So, yeah, I would say, you know, it's debatable, right? But I would say, you know, we have maybe a top 8 league in the world, getting better all the time. We're attracting, you know, good talent, selling young talent, developing our own talent. MLS academies have stepped in. Now, if you can play, it's pretty much, you can play for free. So that's helped us a lot, being able to open the net more to the inner city kids and, you know, even middle class kids. The game can be so expensive. Sports in general can be so expensive with equipment and travel. And, you know, the clubs can waive the dues, but who helps the kid to get where they're going and all of that?
So, all your dance moves is what I call them, because you're a foot moving son of a butt. And all of your kids that train, I followed you, and I followed you for years, and I've watched your kids, and I've watched the Technico. That style, that was there one particular person that kind of pushed you in that direction?
Man, it's a good question. I would say that keep in mind, my first exposure to the game, right, was watching Latin America.
Sure.
Right. A lot of guys with a lot of tricks. So that's kind of the first thing I saw, was how this game was played. Sneaky, you know, trying to figure out what angles you can take, and then obviously being super creative with the ball. And then with the videos, I'm going back to my dad, the videos that he had kind of got me completely by accident. We're just taking anything that had the name soccer on it, we bought it.
Right.
We would rent it, and we would give it back. But we not until we
At the library.
not until we had stolen everything. But yeah. So I was watching all these highlights, all these guys doing bicycle kicks, and all these guys doing these step overs and scissors, and because it was all highlights I was watching for the most part,
Right.
you know, and so kind of developed this thing, and this is how I want to play. I want to play like that. And so if you want to play like that, you don't. It doesn't happen by osmosis. You're out there playing a lot. And so that's what I learned to do, was play. But I never viewed it as work ever. It wasn't until much later on that I ever viewed anything as work. I just played, and I loved it, and I played a lot. So it kind of developed. I personally kind of developed that kind of style. And then as a coach, watching other coaches that were kind of doing similar things and trying to borrow from this coach, and didn't like this, but I liked that, and just taking little pieces over the years until it started finding things that really worked. And so a lot of the things that you're kind of referring to, I think, are kind of the dance type of some of the choreographed
Well,
pieces.
you're just moving. Your
Yeah.
feet, your kids. Even going back to we're going to get into your attack players. Getting to kind of join our group, we would do Saturday sessions, and I think Christian took our group, and I think you had 97, 98, 99s, and we'll get into, but
Yeah.
got to come to a Saturday session, and it was kind of a fun day, and heck, those girls had to be 10, 11 years old, and what they were doing just from your coaching, which I don't think it had been that long, but then, and you sit there and watched them, and you were like, well, shit, this is pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
And dancers have feet like that.
Yeah.
Soft touch. I mean,
Yeah.
and high school, Booker T. Washington.
Yes, sir.
99.
99 grad.
Now we talked about this. Was Lyle and Nikita your coach?
Lyle and Nikita were my godparents, my
Really?
mentors, coaches, taxis. They did everything for me as a kid. Like I owe them a lot.
Are you close in age to either one of their kids?
Yeah, the same age as their oldest son, Court.
Same age as Court. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you guys played together.
We did. He was a goalkeeper on one of my youth teams.
Okay.
Yep. And
that was where you guys.
And also very talented guy. Very talented guy.
I heard Court was amazing.
Yeah, kicker. He kicked at New Mexico. Kicked at TU. He could have probably played in the MLS. Just chose to do other things. But yeah, very talented guy.
So shout out to Lyle and Nikita.
Big
Moffitt.
shout out. Big shout out.
I see him every once in a while, and I get to stop and talk to him.
Absolutely.
And I remembered him from way. I mean, you go back to now, and I don't know what year that would have been. Dad's one of his earlier years. I mean, I would have been old enough to be able to remember the Moffitts. And Dad still to today says he's one of the greatest assistants he ever had. Man, he said Lyle was a worker.
He just he was a worker. He takes pride in everything he does, and he genuinely cares about his kids, about his people, his community. So if you're around him, you'll be blessed.
I got in '98. I had a job offer from Booker T. Had a job offer from Sepulpa at the very same time. Actually made the decision on the same day. I went to meetings of both, and got to talk to Lyle and Nikita both at Booker T. They were high end, and the money discrepancy probably would have ended up at Booker T. But they were so inviting, just phenomenal people as an adult. Remembering them.
Amazing people.
Did you go to college?
Yes, sir. I went my first couple of years. I went to Furman University in South Carolina.
Yes.
So got a full ride to go there to play. At the time, the top 10.
What did you play?
School.
What position did you?
Some forward, some wing, a little bit of center mid, but attacking. That was my
Scoring goals.
Scoring goals, creating chances.
Right.
Yeah. So that was kind of my my expertise, was trying to create something that wasn't there, or just trying to create something and be a catalyst. You don't want maybe you don't want everybody on your team to play my style.
Sure.
My particular style as me.
But it's nice to have one person.
But you need to have a couple.
Right.
You need to have a couple. Everybody has to have a couple. And so it's just a puzzle. Building a team's like building a puzzle. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what I did. And
so you went there 2 years.
I went there 2 years. I transferred actually back to TU.
Oh, you did?
And decided I was gonna, wanted to come home, far from
South Carolina's a good ways.
little ways from home. Nobody ever was able to come out there. It's too much, financially is a little bit.
ESPN Plus wasn't around, so nobody could watch any soccer.
Yeah, it was before a lot of those things came, and so I came back and ended up. But when I came back, decided, you know what, I'm gonna take some time off, and I ended up taking time off, and then about 8 months later, NSU called and said, "Hey, we hear you're not playing," and I said, "I'm not, but I need to be. I need to get myself doing something." And they were like, "Come here and we'll finish. We'll pay for it, and we'll let you get your degree." And so I went there and had a decent time there. Was All-American there.
Was that NAIA at that point, or was it already?
It was D2.
It turned D2 by then.
Yep. So
Okay.
Furman went from Furman with the D1, and then transferred into TU, but then ended up ultimately finishing at NSU.
I mean, for a D2 program, I was just at NSU and watched, of course, Livy signed with Pitt State.
Yes.
and I watched the NSU Pitt State game.
Like Wes a lot.
Wes is great.
Great dude.
I'm gonna get Wes on here too.
Should.
You know, I had Wes in class at Sapulpa.
Good dude.
He wasn't thin, and Wes. We'll talk about that kind of when you get on this because he was a little ornery. But
That's interesting.
it's you just NSU's got a really nice facility. I mean, you look at different facilities. I mean, you go to Broken Arrow right now, for instance.
Yeah.
You can't keep up with that.
No. No.
But NSU for D2,
Yeah.
it's got a nice grass soccer field.
Yeah.
And, you know what it is.
CNC Tile and Carpet. Tulsa's flooring experts for over 60 years. From timeless hardwoods to plush carpets, they've got the perfect flooring to handle pets, kids, and everything life throws your way. Go see their showroom floor at 13th and Harvard and say hello to Lil Vernon or visit their website, cctileandcarpet.com.
What it is.
You don't need, here's the deal, you don't need much. I mean, this thing's
Right.
gotten wild with the facilities.
Wild.
It's gotten wild. So, you know, it's been a great, just from my experience, to kind of see. Furman was very successful with an unlimited budget, right?
Right.
And NSU was also successful with a very limited budget.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So it's just a matter of, you know, the people in the organization and, you know,
Who is your coach there?
Charlie Mitchell.
So I was going to say Charlie Mitchell. Tulsa Roughneck,
Tulsa
former
Roughneck.
pro,
Legend.
great legend.
Yep.
Did you catch anything from him?
In terms of?
Of just, did he shape you? Did he have any bearing on who John Michael is today?
When I had Charlie, Charlie was kind of on his way out of the thing. So we were kind of the last generation of. It was really odd how it came together. There was a bunch of guys that did the same thing as I did. We all were like, hey, we're going to come back into this school.
Right.
You guys want to try to join up and let's go win some stuff?
Yeah, you guys probably did too.
We won a few things. But Charlie was more of like a hands-off coach and just said, you guys.
How old do you think Charlie was then? I mean,
He's probably 60s.
in his 60s at that time.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. But I liked Charlie. I liked Charlie a lot. But he very, very hands off. It was, you know, the first time, you know, somebody was like, hey, do you, you know, just play. And so I did, you know, and it was a good experience. I'm always very eager to learn though, you know, and so always want more, you know, so I want to, you know, be around coaches that are kind of nitpicking me. You know, I want to be tweaked all the time.
You want to be coached.
I want to be coached
Right.
hard. And so, you know, those are two different kind of contrasting from the one school to the other, but both obviously great experiences just to learn.
Did you graduate from NSU?
Yes, sir.
Education degree?
Human science.
I thought you were at a point a teacher.
I was.
Okay, all
So I got certified.
Emergency certified.
Yeah,
and-
I did all that.
Yeah.
Did English as a second language, early childhood, elementary. So I went through all of those things because I always wanted to teach.
Right.
You know, whether it was coaching or in the classroom, and I love teaching. And I ended up doing English as a second language, which I really, really liked. I liked that population of kids. I felt close to those kids.
Can you speak Spanish?
Very, very limited, but
Getting better.
getting better, and they didn't necessarily want us speaking Spanish,
Okay,
right? Because
right.
our job was to to get them integrated
Right.
and to help them, because most of the time they were speaking Spanish 90 to 100% at home. So when they were with us, it's like, let's give them as much as we can.
So that was your first job. You were teaching.
First job teaching.
And I respect teachers. You know, somebody asked me the other day, you know, I got lucky and got into medical device sales, and was asking me, you know, well, what did you make? And I said, I was in there for 24 years, and I told them what I made. And they said, you've got to be kidding me. And it's a travesty that teachers aren't paid like the biggest, because we're the most important, especially young,
Yeah.
elementary,
Yeah.
beginnings. Oh, such a big deal. First job, what was your first? All right, so you're All-American at NSU, went to Furman, you're an All-American at NSU. You're teaching, but you felt that need to coach. Where did you start this journey coaching?
Well, I was still kind of tinkering with playing. Still, I'd had a couple of pretty significant injuries. I had broken both feet twice. Exploded my hamstring. So my body was starting to be like, this is starting to be the end. But of course, you still have the itch and you're still pushing. I had my first daughter, and so
Her name is what?
Sophia.
Sophia, that's right.
Sophia, and so there's trials coming up, in Portland and all over. At the time, it was called the A League or USL, and so had to make some decisions. Do I continue to go and trial and trying to chase the professional dream, or do I stay here and try to be a dad? And because she wasn't coming with me. It was either stay
Yes, sir.
and work. And so I decided to stay and work. And so I got my coaching started earlier probably than some of the guys.
Which 22, 23?
About 23, 22, 23, yeah. And
Are you a different coach now than you were at 23?
Completely different.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Completely different. I'm a different coach than I was 3 years ago.
Yeah. Evolution.
And
you grow
a lot, and that's the one thing that keeps me really interested in coaching, is because I like, wow, I've gotten a lot better in 2 years. What am I going to do in 2 more years? And what am I going to be in 10 years? And so it's always that.
And you're still being exposed to greatness. You're still, and we'll get into that in a minute, but you're still being exposed to stuff now that's kind of out of most people's realm here. You're getting to go be involved with that. So you coached early, but how did we get, now, I just remember, and this is a fantastic thing, and this is kind of where our paths kind of crossed one another, was with this blitz attack.
Okay. Yeah.
How many girls did you put in? Now, Mike heard. Mike said the other day in the conversation that but I only really remember you being with the 98 team, but said you were in with the 97s also.
So 97s were national champions.
Who would have been on that team that I would have known?
Man. Sierra Bell was in that team. Do you remember, John Hoover?
The name is familiar, yes.
Danielle Hoover. John Hoover worked with the Tulsa World.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. His daughter was in there.
Oh, wow.
Hannah Malone. Hannah Warner. Kaylee Dow. There's
Kaylee Dow.
Yeah.
Kaylee Dow. She's a BA girl.
Rachel Van Fossen.
Van Fossen. There you go.
Yes.
Now I'm coming.
Yep.
Because you had the younger Van Fossens.
Yeah, the younger Van Fossen as well.
Yeah, and there was another Dow. There was what? There was a kid. Was the Dow girl a BA girl?
Dow girl. She may have been Jenks.
She may be. I think you're right. Oh goodness, she's the TU assistant now.
She is.
Oh.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
She was like OU's leading scorer.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
She's amazing. She's a really cool,
amazing kid.
Really amazing.
She's not a kid anymore, but I'm telling. Big time human.
Yeah.
Big time life experience. Absolute. That kid is a warrior.
Got to be around her a little bit. Just she helped out at WSA with whatever group. And
yeah, I always
really cool girl.
Would love to coach with her sometime. She's just a great person.
Yeah. And your 98s.
Yes. So, between that 98 team,
now didn't you? They were all together. It seemed.
Yeah.
It seemed like you ran them all together. Is that not
all
right?
You mean those teams?
Yeah.
They were always very connected, right?
Okay.
Very, whether it's friends or cross training, sisters competing against each other,
Right.
rivals,
Right.
supporters,
Right.
but they were all, because they were alike alphas. You know, they all kind of wanted it, and I think that's a testament to the culture we were trying to create of like being something different. You know, that starting on that emotional side first, and how we trained, and we were very particular. If it's not lightning, and if it's, you know, if the worse the weather, the better, right?
Right.
And so we want to be out in that, and it was just like these little pieces we want to expose these kids to.
Girls are tougher than boys. I mean,
They can be.
they can be. I mean,
They can be. I think, you know, they got something to prove, you know, and that helps. And they want to be.
and really, that was during a time that women's sport. I guess that would be about the time that women's sports really started taking off.
Big time.
I mean, that they were in like that big wake of women's sports coming
Big time.
around.
Big time. And real players emerging from Oklahoma. Real girls on the, you know, top players coming from here, national team kids, and you know, top universities, and there's a lot of talent in those generations, and a lot of competitiveness in those generations.
98 team, I remember just because Mike had a daughter on that team,
Yes,
and
sir.
then had, at Sophie's age level, had another daughter, and so kind of how many girls on that went and played D1? I mean, same. I mean, you're talking probably a handful to 8.
No, more than that. So we probably had, we did the math at one point, and it was within, I mean, there were multiple millions of dollars of scholarship in that one team. So that team was serious, but there was a reason they were serious. We did so much deliberately from an early age, and mind you, I mean, a lot of the stuff.
How old were they, when you think, when you got them?
Maybe 8 or 9.
Okay.
And we started it, and we were like, we're gonna try to run this as best we can. I mean, so big
Mike,
on.
and Mike's a hell of a manager.
And Mike is one of the best, probably the best manager I've ever had.
Best managers, yeah.
Because he was so committed to excellence, and
And the girls loved him too.
I mean, and so we were able to really balance each other, and I was able to really push, because he was right here to hold him up and to love on him, and they all adore Mike. You know, we all adore Mike.
Sure.
But it was a huge blessing for me, especially because that was wasn't my first team, but that was my first real project. And that was the one when somebody said, okay, you're going to have some pieces to start with. You're going to need to put some work in, but this is going to be.
They were pretty much brought you together. I mean, you might have added a little bit.
We probably had, I would say, 60 to 70% of that roster.
You had a core.
A good core. And then we would one, and then it became the team, and that was it. And then from that point in, it was very difficult to get in, and we were off and running.
Off and running, and you guys won about everything there was to win.
Won about everything there was to win. Yeah, that team won about everything there was to win. Yeah.
And you go on to the 99s, which you're involved with too, and people don't understand. I know 2 girls that were on that team, the Goins girl.
Yes, sir.
And
Taylor Mallon.
Taylor Mallon.
Yes, sir.
And they're both in the NWSL right now.
Yes, both
Is
pro.
that the only 2 that you've had make it to the NWSL?
On the girl side, yeah.
On the girl side.
Yeah, girl side. And we had Anna Beffer played over.
Anna Beffert?
And she played
Arkansas girl? Did she go to Arkansas?
OSU.
OSU, okay. Anna
Yeah,
Beffert.
no, she was in that same kind of,
Yeah,
that
right.
realm of kids.
Right.
But she was a amazing player too. She played over in Europe.
What she did?
Yeah.
Jeff Malum was my sporting goods guy.
What a guy.
Intrigued. I mean, again, I think he's the one that got me on that summer. You guys always did a summer thing.
They're always doing something.
They're always doing something. You had a
Yeah.
summer. He says, you can bring her over to the summer thing and let her compete,
Let her bang, yeah.
And that is where we got hooked and was like, we can't go back and we can't go backwards again.
Yeah.
Because after seeing you and doing it,
Thank you.
you've been at Blitz. You did the Blitz thing.
Yes.
I know there's a point you went to Tulsa Soccer Club, TSC, and I mean, significantly right now, we came along before I believe the hurricane was out in Broken Arrow, and kind of joined with TSC at that time. So that's why they became TSC Hurricane. But those are the two big clubs in town. WSA has its own place, but it's the big three. And right now, you're trying, man. You're not trying. You're doing. You've started a club called Tecnico:Ten. Is that what would you refer to it as a club?
It's club for sure. Yeah.
But it's more than a club.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's more than a club.
So let's get started with this because I've lived here. I've lived in this area for a long time, and I've seen that when it was a grass field. I've seen that when they made it up. I've seen that, and then I see it now with a big Technico time. Where do we come up with Technico? What is Technico?
So Technico is
Technico.
It's basically technical. So it's in Spanish.
You're technical.
So it starts off on the technical. Everything for me starts off with a kid and a ball, and so the kid learning to love the ball, the kid mastering the ball, and then the 10 attached to the technico is 10 would be the creative playmaker on the field. So we want every player, including our goalkeepers, to be one of the most creative players on the field. So it's technical and creative, right? And so, of course, right alongside that, probably before that, we put a high emphasis on emotional control, emotional intelligence, and aggression, willingness to be vulnerable, and being team-oriented. So our mascot, kind of our logo, is a wolf, and we didn't do that haphazardly. So we look at a wolf has the ability to work on their own, fine. They can be on their own if they need to be, completely fine. But they also work incredibly well in a pack. They're also one of the only animals that have female alphas and male alphas. So we don't limit our leadership to
Gender.
To gender. So it's going to be, can you lead or can you not lead? Can you do it or can you not do it? And if you can be part of what we do. And if you don't want to, no problem, but it's going to be difficult to survive here.
I knew there was some meaning behind Tecnico:Ten because I know I've been around you long enough to know that you probably put a little thought into that.
Little thought into it.
Little thought into that. And you let's get into Tecnico:Ten.
Yeah.
We're sitting here off Main Street, Jenks, and we can put an address and we can put a lot of information on there if you want anybody to contact you. If you don't, but this is a classroom setting. This is a classroom setting, and man, I'm telling you, there's room in here for probably 30 people, and you're not just a soccer club. But first question: how's the school part of this work for these kids? Are they getting their homeschooling through their local school districts? How's that going?
Yes. So we've got kids that are in their home school, like their home, their public school, right? Union, Jenks, BA, all the top schools, and they'll do their online here so that they can train full time. A lot of kids do Epic. We have a little bit of an advantage because a lot of the times kids that are doing Epic, they've got to the teachers have to travel all over the city to see each kid. Well, our teachers are here full time because they support all of just our kids. So we have 3 full-time teachers in the classroom. Our ratio's like maybe 4 to 1 teacher to student ratio. So our kids are actually getting what we feel like is one of the best educations. We have a lot of AP, IB kids on Epic that they have kids that are taking college credits already, getting associate's degrees, and then of course going off and playing and hopefully moving into top organizations.
Yoakum Companies, your local leader in hauling sand, dirt, gravel, and more. From excavation and dirt work to building pads and delivering topsoil, shale, and aggregate, Yoakum Companies get the job done right. Give Dusty a call at 918-636-0913 or go to his website, www.yoakum.net.
What's your day look like? You guys, what time you get here? What's
your
schedule?
I get here at 7 a.m. The kids still start showing up about 7:45. By 8 o'clock, we are getting on the field and starting our first session. So we start our first session by 8 a.m. We train, watch a video.
Rain, shine, snow?
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, the only way that I'll probably get myself in trouble here, but we, if it's possible, we're out there. 18 degrees, wind chill, that's our cutoff. So if it's
okay,
so we'll go out there if it's 18 degrees, wind chill, not main temperature.
Right.
But what it feels like 18, we'll be out there training, and if not, we're on the film, we're studying film, heavy involved in film and breaking the game down to tiny parts, and making sure.
Watching yourselves or watching
everybody.
Anything.
So anybody. So our kids bring in highlights of themselves. Our kids will bring in full games. We'll help them through whatever they're needing to work on individually, and then the game as a whole, kind of the things that we find to be universally true, regardless of the country or the playing style or formationally.
So some of your kids come here and they train all day. Go ahead with this. Let's get this out of the way. Let's do the schedule. So 8 o'clock, you've got a training session, and it's going to happen if it's 18 wind chill or not. I mean, you're going to go.
We're training.
Okay, so
yeah.
you train for how long are you out there?
We're training about an hour and a half. So we do our plyometrics, speed work, and it's different each day for what particular thing we're working on, and then we train and also different topics depending on the day, depending on the morning session or evening session. So we'll be out there an hour and a half, come back, eat, whatever we need to eat for post-workout.
Are the kids bringing snacks? Are they bringing?
Kids bring snacks. We also provide basic things that they need.
Right.
You know what I mean? Making
Right.
sure that there's some fruit, there's bread, peanut butter, jelly,
stuff like that.
hydration stuff, some protein stuff, and just make sure that we're providing them. It's not it's not as elaborate as I wish that it was, but we try to make sure that the nutritional needs are met.
It's not steak and lobster, but
it's not steak and lobster, but it's some dang good peanut butter.
That's right. You can't beat peanut butter and jelly.
It's good. It's magic stuff.
And so you eat, and then
books. Then we start studying. So we'll study from 9:30 to 11:30 hard. So that's pretty much
no BS.
No BS. No BS. And the kids have fun. I mean, it is not. It's more like a college atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Like the kids have a lot of freedom, but they know that things have to be done, or they don't get to train.
Sure.
So if they're not, grades aren't where they need to be, we got to get them there. We put a high emphasis on education. Most of our kids are going to go to college. A few will play professionally, hopefully, but the goal has to be college first, and then we go from there.
And school,
lunch.
Back out there.
Then we're back out there then we do school again. So we go school, lunch, school, train, second session, 2:30 to 3:30, dismissed at 3:30.
Parents come pick up.
Parents pick up. And then they go on about, some of the kids will stay. They compete with us. They compete for our teams, so they will stay and we'll do our evening sessions. And then some of the kids go play for other clubs. So they'll go.
So there are kids that are playing for other clubs.
Of course, yeah. We got pretty much represented by every club in Tulsa here.
And so your club, let's talk, what platform are you guys on? What are you trying to attain? I mean, because I've watched and I've paid attention. I mean, you guys are going places winning already, right?
Yeah, we've been blessed. We've been blessed.
How many age groups?
So we have our youngest team is 2016 birth year. We have 2016s, 2015s, 2014, two 2014s, 2013s, and then 2011, 2012 group. Primarily 2011s, but we're building a 12 group as well.
Do you have to go to Tecnico10 to be on your club team?
No, you don't.
Okay.
We would like to get to the point to where pie in the sky, where we're able to, all of our kids are able to attend the school for the primary reason of trying to enrich their life as a whole. So we train in the mornings, we get everything done by 3:30, go be with your family and go eat dinner with your family and do your home and like do the extra homework, but be a kid.
Be done.
And be done. We're not quite there yet, but we're trending that way.
Yeah, that's cool. And you're just boys right now.
Just boys. We train a lot of young ladies as well.
Are there young ladies in the school?
Yeah, just a lot. So we've got some kids who play at Oklahoma City Energy. We got kids at TSC, kids at WSA. So yeah.
I'll be honest, man. If something like this, especially because I just know what they're getting during the day. I mean, if you turn it all off and you're saying this is, and at a young age they decide this is what they want to do.
Yeah.
This is a great situation.
Incredible. Like if this would have been a dream come true for me as a kid,
Right.
to be able to really focus in on this. One of the biggest things I think that can't be understated is that our kids don't have to experience some of the distractions, that other athletes may have to in other schools, and a lot of the pressures are just not as present in terms of kids getting pulled to do things.
When we were in school, we have a choice.
Yeah.
You went to school.
You go to school.
I mean, and now there's alternatives.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things you can make selections, and you can make, like I said.
Yeah.
I think, for instance, like I said, Rodney's got one kid on his team that I know is homeschooled, and that's weird to me that our kids aren't, that part of the team is not at the physical school that day.
Strange.
You're depending on a lot of different things to happen for that kid to get practice. And,
Yep.
Well, that's a
Different time. It's a different time.
That's amazing. And so the really cool thing is let's talk about this, because it's what is the cost for you to be a member of Tecnico10?
Yeah, one of the things we're most proud of is that 80% of our kids are on scholarships. So our vision here is to provide what we believe is world-class development, some of the best in the world.
Sure.
But we want to do it in a way that any kid in Tulsa that has the right ambition, right, and the right characteristics has the opportunity to take advantage of it. So when no kid will ever get priced out of Tecnico, ever. That's a huge deal for us, and making sure that the opportunity is there for any kid to chase this dream, and also to be prepared to chase the dream. Not only the opportunity, but the preparation. And so, but we have from zero to, I think our school is $400 a month if you pay full tuition, right? Which is probably the cheapest private school in Tulsa.
No, I can guarantee you that's the cheapest private, because it's just not. I mean, let's just take a training session with 4 kids, and John Michael's going to conduct it. Think about that, and then you all day. We're
here all day. Sometimes the kids, which I'm proud of, because our kids are only exposed here to what we feel like is excellence. So I mean, everything is very deliberate. The methodology is very deliberate. How it's delivered, physically, their physical periodization and how, what they're working on, the emotional side of it, being supportive, the technology side. So they are getting a very, very good soccer education as well.
Haven't you already sent some kids to clubs?
We have kids all over the U.S., a lot from these rooms. So we've got kids in St. Louis City, MLS Next, Sporting Kansas City, MLS Next, Colorado Rapids, MLS Next, Nashville, MLS Next. Kids are pop
And they've all
here.
started right here.
Here. So these kids are changed their lives. Now they're flying. So we'll see what happens. Kids, San Jose Earthquakes. Our job is one of the missions is to show, one, we have the kids. We're tired of hearing people say we don't have the talent. We 100% have the talent. What we don't have is a purposeful and deliberate methodology being delivered to players so that they can actually maximize their God-given potential. The potential is here for sure. We feel like we've proven that. We have teams competing for national tournaments, winning national championships. We feel like there's no excuse. We have the talent here.
Well, going to all the tournaments, the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yep.
And what people don't understand, and I use this also in wrestling, Ohio right now, Pennsylvania, New York are super powerful wrestling states.
Big time.
They've got cities bigger than the state of Oklahoma.
Yes, sir.
And soccer-wise, is the same thing.
Yes, sir.
You look at Dallas. You look at your big clubs down there, FC Dallases, and they're finally. I don't think Dallas has had a person on the women's side until here of recent. They got FC Dallas put one on Team USA here. I mean, she's a 19, 20-year-old girl.
Yep. It's a thing, right? So just because people have the numbers doesn't mean they can produce top players. And just because people don't have the numbers doesn't mean they can't produce top players.
100%.
So we feel like we have an advantage here because we have to work. We cannot make mistakes. So we don't have the privilege of just saying, hey, we're going to toss 1,000 kids into this pool and 2 are going to make it by default and we're going to raise our hands. We're going to say, hey, we're going to do this with 50 kids and we want to show what a real methodology, what a real developmentally appropriate environment looks like. And if it's right, we can compete with anybody. And we really, really believe that.
Are those kids that you've sent to those places? I'm sure there's back and forth between them. Are they succeeding? Are they loving it? Are they?
Man, we got kids, brother. We got kids captaining their MLS Next teams. We've got kids.
So MLS Next, let's get into that. So that's the league they play in?
That's the top youth level in the U.S.
Okay, and that is.
Yeah.
I've gotten better.
Go ahead.
But I know Europe has it set up to where those kids have an ability at a young age to go be a part of their clubs. And they train them. And that's the same thing we're talking about.
That's the same thing we're talking about. This is why we're getting so close. So our players are now, if you look at, our national team, for instance, right? We've got players, now people are taking it for granted, but we didn't always have every player on our roster in a top European club, a lot playing MLS, of course. But we've got players all over Europe in top clubs playing Champions League, and these kids most of the kids came out of these MLS academies. So it's not an accident. The kids are coming from these MLS academies, and the top schools are picking them up, and then the national teams and the professional organizations are picking them up.
Are those kids going to college or are they going pro?
Yes and yes. So the kids, obviously everybody wants to be a pro, right?
Sure.
And so but the top colleges are picking from that same player pool. So if a kid doesn't get into the first team or the second team, like the MLS Next Pro 2, then they would be moving into a top university. So, and now at this point, you know, college soccer has almost turned into a third division professional organization because the level is getting very, very high. So kids that are going to college, obviously it's everybody wants to go pro, but it may just be a little bit of a different pathway. Go get some education, stay 2 years, and see if you're ready now to move on. Go to Europe. Lots of
Are
opportunity.
we active? Our MLS teams, are they actively scouting? Are they out searching? How
Yeah.
did your kids get found? How did you guys put them on a for those people to realize, hey, these people
Yeah.
might be good?
So we usually will be out. We actively push our players. So we will call, make sure everybody knows, hey, we've got a kid you need to see. And then if they have interest, we'll send them on trials. We'll drive them there. We'll pay for flight, whatever we need to do to make sure these kids get a shot. And it's not easy, but they're prepared. So at first, people, you know, like, okay, who are these guys? You know, some
Right.
years back, and so our kids that have gone through the system and then gone into these academies have done well, have captained, have been moved up, and now graduating through, signing contracts. They've helped this next generation of kids because we now have credibility.
Have credibility. Yes.
And so, which is again a blessing. So, you know, feel like we've tried to be a blessing to our kids, and our kids have come back and been twice the blessing to us because they're helping the next group of kids, which is what we're trying to do, is make sure that there is a pathway from kids 6 years old. They can see the light. You know, it's not what it was for me, it's like trying to figure out, how do I get in front of this coach and how will I ever get seen from
Right.
Oklahoma?
Right.
Today, the network is pretty thorough.
And you're established. I mean,
Thank God.
your credibility.
We're getting there.
And so that's going to lead that's going to lead me. Do you have any kids coming home saying, "Man, I tell you what, these are good coaches, but they're nothing like you, John Michael"? I mean, do you have anybody come back saying, "These guys can't do what you're doing"?
No, I think our kids, by the time they leave here, they should have developed a mentality to learn from everyone. And so to take and give and give and give. And so kids that have left here are of the highest character. So those kids are going in and they are setting examples of how to do this from little Tulsa, Oklahoma. These kids are, like I said, they're not just there surviving, they're thriving. These are kids are captaining their full teams. These kids are playing up to age groups. And so, and of course, our little guys are all watching these guys and saying, man, I want to get a shirt. I want to.
No, I'm been here in the same room. With
Can
Ben.
do it. And the kids come back, and of course, you know, they're high-fiving and hugging on the kids
Practicing.
and practicing, training with them, and they're back here for our camps, or, you know, and so they are not, again, they're the type of kids that they remember where they came from.
Yeah.
They remember where they came from.
Well, all of your efforts and, you know, your associations, again, I don't stalk you, but you pop up on Facebook
Every once in a while.
And next time I look up, you got some VW gear on.
Yes, sir.
You got some VW gear on, man. I know what VW gear means. That means you're somewhere coaching the age level United States of America national team.
Yeah, man.
Dude, what about that?
Bro. Just a dream come true.
I know Michael Ensign is an in.
Of course.
And you've known Michael for
My whole life.
your whole life.
My whole life.
Same age guy.
Same age.
Played.
Never mostly against each other, but a little bit with each
Where's
other.
Michael Ensign from?
He's from Tulsa, Booker T kid.
Oh, he's a Booker T kid.
Yes, sir.
He got inducted to the Hall of Fame the other day.
He did. He's today.
It's today.
It's today. Yeah.
Oh, I read something. You see?
Yep.
See, my social media pays off.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of amazing people here, you know, coming out of here and doing things. But NCN, I can't understate how he's supported me, and he's helped me and, told me, I say, hey, these are things I want to do. What do I need to do? Years back, this is the education you need to be chasing. It needs to be this and not that, and do this and not that. And so then I would follow directions. I have a lot of respect for him, and of course I want to learn.
And aren't you the highest level of certification?
Yes, one of the highest levels.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But NCN as well. I mean, NCN has higher than me, in terms of certifications, and
Right.
then he has some European licensing as well. So I'm already in my doing my UEFA licensing as well.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, but I mean, we never stop learning. But Mike and I have always, shared information and debated, because we're different. We're very different stylistically. But we balance each other very well. And my weaknesses, I've been able to strengthen because of him. And I hope, some of my strengths have helped him as well.
Sure they have.
But just at least in terms of creating dialogue and creating like some debate and pushing each other philosophically, not settling on I'm right and this is how you do it, but like what is the
And also on the end of that, it takes a special person to be able to open up the mindset and be like, first of all, we respect each other, but nobody's ever just right.
No.
There's always, you could change.
The thing that the blessing has been is being wrong so many times, and having to go back and be like, man, I should have pivoted earlier, and I was dead right on this, but in this context, and I needed to be more balanced in these areas. So you're just constantly tweaking, and constantly finding information, like obsessed. I know NCN obsesses. I obsess about information. So we want information. So we're willing to go to any part of the world to get it. We've been, all over the world.
Are you guys fortunate enough to be in camps with the likes of the U.S. national team? I mean, with the coaches and with the
Yes. So for me personally, my primary roles with the national team have been with the U16 national team and with the U20 national team.
Oh, wow.
So, done several foreign camps and several domestic camps. So, as a kid, everybody's dream is to put on the badge,
Sure.
And I don't care what sport you're playing,
Same.
USA wrestling, holy crap,
Sure.
USA soccer, USA basketball. So, I mean, I can't put into words how grateful that I am that God has surrounded me with people like NCN who believed in me, and gave me a shot to do this. And I don't take it lightly at all, because there's so many talented coaches. And
You got your foot in the door, John Michael, and that's something that's a lot of.
Sometimes you got to kick the door in.
There's a lot of great coaches.
Yeah, there are.
But you got your foot in the door, and it couldn't have happened to a better person.
Thank you.
How has your experience been with that?
Golly, man.
Is it that high? Are those kids that high?
They're
level?
that high level. And the deal is, what I would say
We're
is,
talking the United States of America.
Talking about the United
This
States
is
of
our
America.
U16 team.
This is the team. And now, like, just for context, these kids are beating England. These kids are beating Spain. These kids are competing with Holland, beating Japan, beating Nigeria, beating Uruguay, beating Argentina. I'm telling you, we're heavy hitters. Heavy hitters at the youth level. So nobody wants to play us, and we love it. Because we've been kind of stepped on for so long, that we don't go into any match ever feeling like an underdog, ever. So we will go, we want that smoke. And so we go out, our kids believe they're there to win, they're there to represent the badge. And they're going out there with full intentions of causing absolute chaos and winning.
Representing the United States. How many kids are on it? What's your roster?
Usually to a camp, maybe 22. 22 can get into a camp, and
The entire United States.
of the entire United States.
of America.
These kids are wired different. You know, they're wired different. They're not necessarily the biggest kids on earth, or they're not necessarily. You're going to look at some of these kids and be like, "You're talking about in the whole United States? That one? That's the guy?" And just like give him a second, just watch him for a second. And you're like, "Oh, I got it. The kid's an animal." And these kids are dogged, super high intelligence. I mean, that's one of the things that pops out to me is these kids are brains. They're coaches. They're having real conversations with 16-year-olds about the game. Real conversations. They're asking real questions, and they are as obsessed with learning as I am. So these kids, they're like, one of the first things that, you know, that stuck out with me as getting into those environments was the kids. One of the first questions we asked in like a meeting with the players, how can I help you? What do you need from me? And the kid almost verbatim, don't lie to me. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell me how to get better. And it's in every time across the board, they all want to get better. They don't want you. They know they're good, right? They know that they have
They're there
talent.
for a reason.
They're there for that 2% out of that experience. And if they get enough 2%, they're just going to keep stacking
Is
them.
it like 1%? I mean, is it like 0.5%? I mean, we're talking about soccer is super popular. Since this all started, if I had boys, which I didn't, Lori's fault, but I would have put them in soccer.
Yeah.
And that would have been their first sport they played.
Yeah.
Because you're learning every athletic movement.
For sure.
You're learning exhaustion,
Yeah.
muscle fatigue.
Yeah.
You have to, and that's why I love it so much. And you're talking about 22 kids out of the United States of America, which I know we're coming because United States of America finally has put an emphasis on soccer.
Yeah.
Men's soccer. Now, women's soccer is ahead of them.
Yeah. Yep. They got a good start on the rest. They got a good head start on the rest of the world.
Right.
Our women's side.
Right.
Now you see the rest of the world
Catching.
Not necessarily. I don't know. I mean, you can make a lot of arguments on is our developmental model as good as it should be. That's a fair argument. But one thing we know for sure is that
It's another podcast.
man, it's a big podcast.
It's a big podcast.
It's a big podcast.
It's a big podcast.
But one thing we know for sure is that the other countries have invested, and they have all the foundation work. They've already done it.
Aren't the big clubs, haven't they created women's sides?
Yes, sir.
And they're doing that same thing.
Same thing as the men. And so now
And we're not.
we're not like we should be. And hopefully there's going to be some things maybe on the horizon coming in U.S. soccer with some affiliations where people start actually trying to work together. But the U.S. is a gigantic ship, and it's hard to move a ship. Some of the countries that we get compared to, like Spain, or could fit in like the size of Oklahoma. So it's going to take us time to get where we need to go, but we are moving that
And
direction.
kids have here, I don't know what, I taught world history for a long time, and I'm familiar with Spain. But the first thing, if you were to ask me what sport they play in Spain, I'd say soccer.
Mm-hmm.
England, I'd say soccer.
Yeah.
If you say United States of America, what's the first sport that's going to come? I mean, at a point in time, soccer wasn't getting the best athletes.
Mm-hmm.
The best athletes were going playing baseball or football. Of
course.
But I think now, in my opinion, which is a small opinion, I think it's appealing to those elite athletes.
It's becoming more appealing. One, let's be honest, the money in the game is earth-shattering right now in soccer.
Earth-shattering.
It's earth-shattering. Also, you combine that with the fact that the concussions and the injuries and the youth side of American football have been catastrophic. And so many of the parents now are saying, man, so you're telling me we can get a college education, we have a chance to make some millions, and we
At
can
college.
in college.
In college now.
Yeah, and it's only trending upwards.
And you know it's coming to high school too, right? There's NIL high school money.
Wow.
They're just talked to BA's new head football coach. There's NIL high school money.
I did not know this.
So you can make money at every level, but really big money at that level.
You moving up,
Do those kids get paid that play on those MLS next teams? Do they get any kind of per diem or?
they'll get help, right? So a lot of our kids, one, will live with a host family or in some type of a school or something like that, so they can. So all that's taken care of. Everything's paid for. So they might get a stipend, to make sure that they can buy clothes and things like this, but it's nothing crazy.
But 90% of those kids probably just wear the gear issued to them. And
That's when they're just wearing their gear,
right.
yeah.
They're just wearing their gear.
And they're proud of their gear, yeah.
Well, dude, man, I tell you what, as a coach, I've paid attention to you. I'll argue with people. I'm like, if you want to be trained, here's the name you go get trained by. The thing that I loved about you, and this is something that our dad taught us, and I think that's why maybe we've had some success being coaches, is it's a passion. It's a passion, and you always brought that to every training session. You brought that to your practice back in the Blitz days. I mean, here I am, a wrestling coach, and I don't know anything about soccer. And I don't really know anything about it now, but that I love it. And your creativity, your philosophy, just you talking today of what you're trying to create here at Technical 10 is, man, it doesn't disappoint. It's exactly what I thought I was going to get. And that's why you were one of the first people I thought about doing this with. And I hope you've enjoyed sitting down and talking to me as much as I've got to talk to you. And
it's always a blessing. It's a blessing, and
thank you, sir.
I'm grateful for you, and thank you for allowing me to talk to you.
No. And this won't be the last time.
Yes,
we're gonna have to keep up because we have to catch you coming back from a U.S. trip.
God willing.
Yeah, a U.S. trip, and check that out. Hey, this again, soccer. And I know enough to be dangerous. At least I can talk about it for however long we've talked about it. And this has been your 8th episode of Dynasty Sports. Please like, share, and if you're in the car and you want to listen to Spotify, we've got it on Spotify, social media platforms. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir.
See you next time. Core Homes, building and remodeling quality home across Tulsa and Oklahoma for over 10 years. From the ground up, Core Homes creates sturdy, lasting homes for your family. To see their gallery, visit corehomesok.com.